Okay guys, second time I've recorded this, so it might be a bit naff, but it was probably a good thing because I was rambling in the first one. So this is going to be my beginner's guide to lifting. So just a video to get you in the gym, understanding what you're doing and making sure you're moving in the right direction. When I started out lifting, I was all over the place, just doing completely pointless stuff. Um, this will give you some direction or just at least an outline of what you should or shouldn't be doing in the gym when it comes to lifting weight. Um, So I always get asked, should I be doing high rep, low rep? Should I be doing, um, you know, should I be doing bicep curls and doing this and doing shoulder raises and all this kind of exercises? And for the most part, it's kind of flipping it around on its head and having some proper structure and sort of, an idea on where you should be. So rather than rambling, I am going to get straight into it. Probably going to be a little bit hyperactive, so I'm just about halfway through my homemade pre-workout, which is disgusting. But there's a lot of caffeine in there, so that's good. Alright, so how to lift weight in the gym. Right, number one thing you need to think about is compound exercises. Compound exercises basically mean um, multi-joint exercises. So things like pressing and pulling, which is pretty much it. Pressing and pulling, bench press, overhead press, lat pull downs, pull-ups, chins, squats, deadlifts. Those are your main moves. Okay, so pressing and pulling exercises. Necessary for you to progress. Basically, they are going to give you more bang for your buck. You're going to be able to lift more weight. You're going to get stronger quicker. You're going to expend more calories lifting those weights. Your isolations, which is the opposite to a compound, are exercises such as like bicep curls or lateral raises, which I mentioned earlier on as shoulder raises for some reason. Things that work a single muscle group on its own, so like an isolation move. They have their place and they are useful and they help. They can bring up weak areas and iron out sort of deficiencies and stuff like that. But your most important ones are your compound exercises. So the way I would set up a beginners based training plan would be 4 compound moves at the beginning of the session with 2 isolations, maybe 3 at a push depending on time and the individual. So 4 compound exercises, so some sort of pressing and pulling movements, and then followed by isolations. I would shoot for different rep ranges on probably different days, keeping it quite consistent, I would imagine. That's how I kind of set things up to simplify it. I like to shoot for things, especially with a beginner, about the 8 to 12 rep range, because I think it's safer. I think it makes more sense. It teaches you how to lift the weight with control, rather than just chucking it from A to B. So the 8 to 12 rep range is good for that reason. Sometimes I vary it, but if you're going to go out and do your own training, then that's a good rep range to be in, 8 to 12. Rest periods, keep them consistent, and if you're a beginner, I would keep them relatively short, so between 45 and 90 seconds is probably a good place to start. You could probably move up to 120 seconds, but whatever you choose to do, it needs to be consistent, and that's the key with all of this, really. Rest periods, just keep them consistent, write them down, and make sure that it's all consistent with each other. Okay, so the other thing I've noticed a lot with people when they go into the gym, and especially beginners, is they'll go in and they'll just kind of make it up in the day. I used to do this. I used to train like this, and it's called training intuitively. The only people who should train intuitively are advanced trainees. I wouldn't even put myself in that, so that sounded arrogant as hell, but I suppose as a coach, I guess people would potentially see me as an advanced trainee. I would disagree. I'm not. I wouldn't train particularly. I wouldn't train intuitively because I feel structure is the best way to go for me because you can see where you're progressing and learn how to back off. For a beginner, it's definitely important. You have to have structure in there. So have a specific structure. So let's say you have a training plan for 8 weeks. And over an 8-week period, it's a linear prep plan where you're just trying to add weight to the bar. 4 exercises with 2 isolations afterwards. You want to try and hit, let's just say you're hitting bench press for 3 sets of 8. Let's just say that. Each week you're going to try and add weight to that bar. Somehow, for more reps, less reps, etc., etc. That's the key. So mechanical tension and progressive overload are the most important things when you're trying to lift weight, is to basically try and add weight to the bar, get progressively stronger by lifting more weight. So a lot of people talk about their muscles feel all pumped, and the younger lads, I know they really, most lads like that feeling of feeling all pumped up as they come out of the gym, and they feel that gives them a good workout. And if they're sore for 3-4 days afterwards, it means that their muscles are going to grow. That is not actually true, and it does, that's called DONS, or delayed onset muscle soreness. That does not indicate whether you've had a good workout. That just means that you've broken down muscle tissue. That's all it means. It doesn't mean anything else. If you are not training correctly, you won't get something called the repeated bout effect. So after a while, the DOMS will clear away, even though you're doing the same stuff. So yeah, add weight to the bar. That's the key thing. And how you won't know whether you're adding weight to the bar unless you have a particular sort of structure in there. So let's say you hit bench press for 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and it's the same rep range and sets and rest periods, and everything else is consistent. The only thing you're trying to add is add weight. That is your progress, and you will see changes from that. And it is that simple for a beginner. Very, very important. So to sort of finalize as well is making sure is the training to failure versus not training to failure debate. So I used to be a train to failure bodybuilder wannabe guy, and there is some merit in training to failure. So let me just go through what failure means. So for most people in the gym, they think failing an exercise would mean not being able to lift the weight at all. So you'd literally like this and wouldn't be able to lift the weight. Can't believe I just did that on screen, but it's all good. There's 2 types of failures: muscular failure and technical failure. So muscular failure is not being able to lift the weight at all, so you literally cannot get the weight off unless somebody helps you. And then there's technical failure, which is failing to lift the weight with good form. So when we talk about failure, we should be talking about failing to lift the weight with good form, so technical failure. Muscular failure shouldn't really happen unless you're doing compound exercises, and even then it's probably not that necessary, to be honest, for the most part. My suggestion would be, especially for beginners, they could probably get away with training to technical failure probably a bit better than an intermediate or advanced, and it all depends on the individual as well, on their recovery and what else is going on in their life and stuff. But I don't let anybody ever train to technical failure. I don't see the necessity of it, because as long as you're progressing, you should be progressing. So training to failure isn't really necessary and can cause more harm than good to me. And what I found with everyone, all my clients, etc. There's a lot of different information out there on the internet, and lots of people do disagree with that, and I respect their opinion, but my opinion is train to failure for a beginner, not necessary, bit pointless. So my advice is not to do it. So summary of it all. Actually, one thing I have missed is the high rep, low rep debate. So whichever rep ranges you do choose, you must have enough weight on there to actually get some form of stimulus to the muscle. So if you are lifting 3 sets of 80, for example, and all 3 sets of 8 of those are not challenging at all, and really, be honest with yourself, you could probably hit maybe 15 reps on each one. It's a complete waste of time, so just don't bother. The idea is to try and get maybe, let's say we're trying to hit 3 sets of 8. If you hit 8, and then the second set you do another 8, but it was quite tough on those last couple of reps, and on the next set it gets to like 6 or 7, and you're really struggling to the point where you're thinking, good God. Then it means that you've chosen roughly around the right weight, and then once you hit 3 sets of 8, and it feels okay, then you pump the weight up a bit on the next session, and that's how you kind of progress. And it is that simple. That's how I've set things up with my guys when they start off, and it makes life so much easier. It's actually really straightforward. They're like, oh, is that it? They think that they have to train failure, or that people are only training. They're sort of going through, and it's like, yeah, I've done loads of weights today, and they've been pressing 50, and they could have actually pressed like 80. You do have to have a weight which is challenging. So yeah. Anyway, so that has ended up being around about 10 minutes, which hopefully it wasn't too boring. Yeah, so you can if there's any questions, just drop a thing down there, and I'll happily answer them. And thanks for watching.